Okay, so there's a lot of people who have been asking about investing in stock. And basically, some of them have money, but they just don't know where to go. And before I get started, I just want to look at a couple of things that I know I'm going to invest in. But I was watching the news. Right now, we're up to 15,436 deaths with 354,000 confirmed cases. Of course, that number doesn't really mean anything because we don't actually know how many people are infected. And there's no way to do mass testing right now because they don't have enough tests. So here I am just laying in my bed watching news and watching the Dow sink like a stone through 18,000. And my guess is that because the bailout package that was suggested at first has been, declined and fell through, now the Democrats have come back trying to get student loan forgiveness, and they want to try to get rid of $30,000 per person. Now, I would agree with some people who would say that right now is an emergency and it's not the time to try to force through, basically pork and trying to make your constituents happy. The simple fact of the matter is, hey, if the government's printing out a $4 trillion bailout, why not make it even higher? Why not go to fucking 6? Why not make it 7? Because the thing about it is we've already reached the point at $23 trillion that we really can't afford to pay back the national debt, even with the interest rates at a freaking 0% as an emergency. So the thing about it is you might as well just pay off these loans, because now you've got all these students who are so deep in debt that they won't even be able to pay back their loans, because most of them aren't even getting paid right now from the meaningless bullshit jobs that they're doing at Grubhub and Uber Eats and stuff. And those jobs, for the most part, they've lost half their business. So what are you going to do? So I kind of understand why the Democrats have bothered to take this time to fight for student loan forgiveness. And maybe this is as good a time as any. Thing about it is, no matter how you slice it, Trump is about to sign his name to the largest bailout in the history of America. And up until the George Bush administration, we had thought that was the largest bailout in the history of America. So when I hear somebody saying, oh, yeah, this will never be a socialist nation, well, now you're literally handing out welfare checks. So I just find... Okay, now, as you know, I invested in Ford. I was going to do a total of 1,000 shares. Now, within the last 3 months, and I think it's important that while you're doing your research, you take a look at where these large, well-known companies were within the last 3 months, because basically coronavirus really started in roughly about December. It took January and February for us to start taking it seriously, but I remember that by about the middle of February, that's when people actually started taking it seriously. And the sad thing about it was, I didn't even understand it in the very beginning, because the news media that I trusted to give me, the facts and nothing but the facts, the motherfuckers were lying to me. So that's just what it is. So bottom line is this. Ford, I know, is a strong company because my family invested in Ford back when it was like $1.72 to $1.80 when we had that bailout under the Bush administration back in 2008. So Ford rose considerably. Within the last 5 years, Ford has been as high as $16. I think the highest it was like $17, but this is only going back to 2016. So the thing about it is, we know that we can trust Ford. Ford's got all these annoying cars coming out, like the electric Mustang, and they got the new F-150 electric and all these electric cars coming out. So the thing about it is, Ford, I know, is going to make the turnaround, and it's going to probably turn around soon. But right now, the stock is as low as I think it's going to go, because right now they're not in danger of going out of business, and they're not in danger of going bankrupt. The government is going to bail them out, just like they did in 2008. I'm pretty sure many people who wanted in to Ford in 2008 and didn't get in are kicking themselves, especially when they see how it rose up to $17. And as you know, Ford pays dividends and whatnot. But right now, Ford, GM, and Chrysler all have their factories shuttered because of the coronavirus epidemic, or I should say pandemic. But right now, I think because of command economy, they're going to use their factories to start making ventilators and surgical supplies. So once this all turns around, Ford is going to be right back to making their slow cars like the Mustang and those other slow cars like all of their SUVs. And, I shouldn't be making jokes because now I'm officially a Ford shareholder. But what I can say is I know the cars are slow. And at least, the police buy them. So I'm pretty sure they won't be going out of business anytime soon. So right now is basically the time to buy. If you're getting in at $4, $4.20, $4.30, you may lose a couple of cents. You may lose even as much as a whole dollar from here on out because we don't know exactly when Congress is going to sign this bailout package. Bottom line is we know Ford's going to make its comeback. So I'm not really worried about Ford at all. I've considered it a strong buy. Just remember, I bought right now 1,000 shares of Ford. And I was using my, my YouTube money and my, my tax return because I didn't feel like spending out of my own pocket. And I figured, hey, I might as well just use some of the money that the government actually gave me back that they were over withholding in the first place. So when Ford turns around, everybody who buys into Ford is going to be happy. I mean, the thing about it is Ford ain't going nowhere. Ford, GM, I can't really say that about Chrysler, honestly, because, as you know, Ford and GM are basically American. The problem is Chrysler got bought out by Fiat, and that's Italian. So really, Ford and GM are basically cornerstones of the American, not only the stock market, but the American economy. They're not going anywhere. Some people might even say the same thing about Tesla. Now, as you know, I bought into Tesla, just like I'm trying to get you guys to be, investing in everything. I bought into Tesla back in 2012. I can't even go back that far on this calendar. But Tesla, we had a really wild ride up until 2019. And what ultimately happened with Tesla was I got it at $30. I think some of the shares I bought were like $31, but I basically bought it at $30 a share. And the thing about it is I never expected it to go this high, but nobody could have counted on the fact that Trump was going to put out a tax plan that basically allowed these companies to buy back shares and allowed these companies to underpay workers and allowed them basically to treat American workers like shit and not give them higher wages. And in buying back their own shares, they ended up without enough money to cover themselves in a time just like this. The proverbial rainy day. These guys were all broke because they spent all their goddamn money, which is something that, I try to warn people not to waste all their money on bullshit. But the problem is a lot of people waste their money on bullshit. I mean, it's one thing, listen, life is short. I know you want to enjoy things like vacations, and I know you want to enjoy things like, taking your wife out to dinner and all that stuff. That's cool and all that. But what I'm saying is you should always be saving for a rainy day. These companies didn't, and now they're waiting for Trump to cut them a welfare check. I'm not saying the word stimulus. I'm saying the word welfare check. Everybody's looking for a welfare check. That's what everybody wants is a welfare check. That's what it is, a welfare check. So Tesla right now is at $438. Now, as you know, almost 2 months ago, they were damn near at 1,000. I was going to sell all of my shares at 1,000. And they must have heard me say that, so they invented this coronavirus bullshit so they could knock that shit down, slow me down, slow my roll. Thing about it is they'll be back. Now, you don't have to buy full shares of Tesla. You can buy fractional shares of Tesla, just like you bought Bitcoin. So, Tesla might be worth some of your money. Like if you've got a tax return coming, you might crack off about $500 or $600, maybe even $1,000 if you made enough. Crack off $1,000, buy yourself some shares of Tesla. Right now, you can buy 2 whole shares, and It's gonna come back. I mean, the thing about it is Tesla just released the Model Y. They've just started deliveries on the Model Y. So they've already had the Model 3 out there. The Model 3, despite the fact it has a shitty interior and it's a bit of a small car, it is a really nice car on the outside. On the inside, it's shit. But the thing about it is it's been selling. A lot of people who normally would have bought those horrible Honda Civics and those pathetic Priuses have gone out and gotten themselves Model 3s instead. And the beautiful thing about that is the Model Y is going to probably sell even better than the Model 3 did. So my recommendation to you is to, if you can afford it, get yourself some Tesla. Now, Ford is less expensive by far than Tesla. So, it's easier for most people to afford. Like, you don't have to have a lot of money to afford some Ford stock because it's only $4 a share. But Tesla, it's what, 100 times that. Literally 100 times that. Ford right now is at 430 and Tesla's at 439. So it's literally 100 times the cost of a Ford share. But Ford is something you should definitely look at right now because it's easier to buy into. And I definitely know Ford, is coming back. The other thing was Fiat. Now, I don't know how you feel about Chrysler. The simple fact of the matter is Chrysler has been doing pretty well lately with their Dodge product mostly and the Jeep product too. And the thing about it is slowly but surely you're going to see new products trickling out and they're going to be doing well because they just so happen to make very good large cars for people who don't really want to have to buy SUVs. And they also have a pretty diversified product among the Jeep, and they also have a pretty diversified product in the Dodge lineup. So Ford right now is $6.40. So Ford is like the second highest thing you could consider buying right now. That's $6.40, but only a week ago, it was $7.66. And if you go back 1 month, it was high as $13. I don't foresee Fiat going much, much lower, especially considering the government wants to use the manufacturers in order to help produce emergency supplies like we should have been doing in the first place instead of sending all our goddamn emergency factories over to China. But now everybody sees the threat thanks to coronavirus. And now, after it costing us over 20,000 lives soon to come, now everybody's going to understand that we need to manufacture some of this shit at home. So that means more jobs for American workers, and that means, a little bit more, safety nets here at home, which is what we should have been doing in the first goddamn place. So Fiat, I could see myself buying some Fiat stock. I could definitely see that, considering where it is. It's not that expensive. And, 3 months ago, it was pretty high. So coronavirus has kicked everybody's ass, knocked them down. And on the way up, I want to be on that train on the way up. Okay, so besides those two, Ford, Fiat. Now, as you know, I was urging you to buy CTIC. I don't know how many people actually listened to me and bought CTIC. But CTIC, Cell Therapeutics, they have a new drug coming that is supposed to treat like fibrosis, myelofibrosis. So patients with severe thrombocytopenia. And as you know, Big Pharma is basically the big money makers. So when you're talking about this drug that's coming out, the last time I bought into CTIC, I got in at $2.15 because my uncle suggested I buy in. And that was, I think, the first stock trade I made. Now, if you go back to their history, it went from $2.15 all the way up into the $20 range. So one thing I know about this company is that they do have a history, at least within my family, of making some damn money. So, how you feel about it is up to you. But the thing about it is this is 81 cents right now. So buying in at less than $1 is way better than the profit I made the first time. So that's up to you. And before anybody asks me what trading platform I use, I don't use anything like Robinhood and stuff. I use TD Ameritrade. See, I'm the type of person, some people like to do everything electronically. I like to actually walk into the office and I like to sit down and meet the people. Like I like to go to the bank and I actually like to sit and meet the people and sit right in front of them and drink up their coffee and sit right in front of them and hobnob and everything. I actually like doing that. I don't know why. It's fun. But, as far as my stockbrokers, I like going into the offices and meeting these people. Now, I know some people don't mind just trading off their phone, but when it comes to money exchanging hands, especially from my hand to theirs, no, I'm going in. I want to sit down. I want to meet everybody. That's how I do it. There's a TD Ameritrade within 5 miles of me, so I just drive over there and I just go sit down with them, and that's it. Okay, Apple. Apple was riding high. Apple's $330 a share. Coronavirus kicked the shit out of them. 329 all the way down to, where are we, 225. Now, Apple is a $1 trillion company. Everything Apple does is profit. You know that. So if you can afford to buy into Tesla, then you damn sure could probably afford to buy into Apple. Apple is where you want to be. Now, the short sellers have been selling off their Apple in order to have liquidity in their pockets. A lot of people are selling off every damn thing because they're scared shitless, especially these old people who coronavirus is threatening to turn their lungs into jello. But my thing is, I already know who and what Apple is, and so do you. I swear by their products, love their products. I know that everything they do is pure profit. They are somebody you want to put your money into if you want to invest in something. So go to your broker, get yourself some Apple if you can afford it. You probably won't be upset. The only downside is you'll be getting in above $200. When I got myself and my friend in, it was back when Apple had the stock split. It was like $90 at that time when we got in. It was like $90 along with Alibaba. I had him pay into Alibaba. Now, Alibaba is right now 177, down 3 months ago is 232. I had my friend buy into Alibaba. I don't know if he's listening to this video. I'm not going to name him because I don't want to embarrass him. I had him buy in. And as soon as I had him buy in, like he knew nothing about this company. I was like, listen. Alibaba, big Chinese company. You got to buy into this. He listened to me. He bought in. He had one of his relatives, his family members buy in. I'm not going to mention that person's name because I don't want to embarrass him. Problem was, Alibaba started going down. Let's see if the history shows that. Alibaba at one point started going down. Now, that was back in like 2000, right about here. And I had him buy back up here in the 80s, close to Apple. It was like almost $90. Started going down. Went down to about $65, $63, as you can see. Now, what happened was his relative got scared and was like, oh, no, I've got to pay these margin calls, blah, blah, blah. So what did they do? Sold that shit. They sold that stock, but they didn't see what I saw. And as you can see, Alibaba slowly started going all the way up. And then Alibaba started selling us all this shit on Facebook from China. And then it went to $227. How about that? Now, coronavirus kicking the shit out of them. So right now they're down to 176. But Alibaba is going to come back. I'm sure it's coming back because you're talking about... See, one thing you got to understand, the Chinese market's got a 1.5 billion people in it or somewhere near that. Now, after coronavirus, God knows how many they'll have left. But Alibaba has so many people who they have as a market that just like Tencent and QQ, these people are big money just in the fact that they have so many people in their market. Same goes for India. India has markets too, and if you invest in their markets, you're investing into markets that have like over 1 billion people in them. America only has 350 million people, tops. So, you got to understand, there's a lot of people over there, and there's a lot of people spending a lot of money. So even though they're not all rich, a lot of people spending a lot of money accounts for, there being fewer people who are rich, So Alibaba is definitely a strong company that right now is getting hammered. Amazon. Now, I know I skipped Microsoft and I skipped Google because we already know about Microsoft and Google. But Amazon, they were at $2,170 not long ago. Where were they? $2,170, right? Got their asses kicked all the way down to $1,896. You know who Amazon is. You know that these people basically think they're the post office. They've got deliveries going on every 5 seconds. It's amazing. Amazon's worth buying into if you can afford Amazon. So if you can get it, get it. That's all I can say. Just get some Amazon if you can afford it. Facebook. I hate Facebook. I hate Mark Zuckerberg. The only thing that bastard's ever going to get out of me instead of... what is it called? Private information is dank memes. That's all I put on Facebook. I'm not giving him shit. And you shouldn't either. Because Facebook is basically nothing more than a domestic spy tool, just like TikTok is for China. It's the same damn thing. And it also goes for Instagram. That's why you notice I barely use Instagram. Somebody tried to insult me. They're like, oh yeah, well you got so few followers on Instagram. I'm like, yeah, because I don't fucking use Instagram. Anybody who follows me on Instagram knows that all I post is dank memes and that's it. I'm not putting any private shit on Facebook. I don't want you to know nothing, Mark Schmuckerberg. I'm not telling you nothing. Nothing. And that's about that for Facebook. So we bought into Facebook a while back. I think it was like in the 50s or 60s when we got it. And I usually overhold. I usually don't panic when it starts to drop. But right now we're at 149, and I think it has some space to grow. It could go back. But, even if I sold right now, I'd still be making a bit of a profit. That's good. It's always good to buy early when the shit is low. Now, I will stop. I'm going to end with this. I want to talk about cryptocurrency. I've been making jokes on the internet that cryptocurrency is a waste of money and that cryptocurrency at this point is a joke. There has been so many massive sell-offs of cryptocurrency during this coronavirus scare that it just shows you that cryptocurrency really isn't a trustworthy holder of wealth. While cryptocurrency has its place for helping these poor foreign countries decouple from the American IMF and Federal Reserve, who's basically been ruining their currencies like Zimbabwe and Venezuela. The thing about it is Bitcoin is not a safe haven investment for, the average person who was thinking to use it as a Ponzi scheme. People wanted to put some money in and then withdraw more money than they put in out. That's a Ponzi scheme by very definition. 2 years ago, that's exactly what Bitcoin was. Now, Bitcoin is nowhere near the highs that they claimed it would be 3 years ago. They thought that Bitcoin was going to be $100,000 by now. And as you can see, it's $6,300, and that's up from $5,000. But the problem is the shit keeps crashing. And just this year, it was up to $13,000, mostly because of Chinese investors. Now, look where it is. 6,136. Those highs of 15,000, 19,000, you ain't never seeing that again. So, cryptocurrency, I don't really trust anymore. I made a little bit of money in it. I actually made a good amount of money in it, though. But that problem was it's not the same market as it was back in December 2017 and January 2018. It's not the same market anymore. I don't trust it anymore because I always made comments that I felt that it was a Ponzi scheme. I always said that. And, risking money in a Ponzi scheme, you risk losing it all, you risk gaining a lot. Like there was a guy who he invested $100,000 into Ethereum. And then when it started to drop, he invested even more by mortgaging his house. And it just so happens that at that time it started rising exponentially. And the guy ended up with multiple millions of dollars. Like I think he has still like $10 million to his name. Some people get lucky. Some people lose every goddamn thing. And I don't want to be one of them. So basically for right now, that's all I wanted to say. Right now, I'm laying in my bed. I'm not going out right now. It's raining, so I don't feel like doing any apocalypse driving today. So I figured I'd make just a little bit of a recording while I'm watching the news and I'm watching the death toll rise and whatnot. So as you know, if you have simple questions to answer, just pose them in my URL portion down there or the comment section or whatever, and I'll try to answer them or somebody else can answer them. So enjoy your quarantine day and try not to have any kids, because you know that if you're home with your girlfriend, you know what's going to happen. She's going to get pregnant. Next thing you know, there's going to be a lot of kids out there with nicknames like Corey and Rona and Vira or Vera or some, semblance of that. So just everybody stay safe and, don't cough.